For all you heavy metal fans out there, I've got a member of the band Metallica on the show. Lars Ulrich, welcome.
Yeah, hello.
And welcome to New Zealand.
Thank you.
This is your first visit.
This is our first visit. We actually had a visit penciled in a few years ago, but we had a rough accident back then, so we had to sort of redo our whole schedule back then. Unfortunately, I had to look over Australia and New Zealand.
I'm glad you finally made it.
Yes, so are we. Thanks for the weather.
The weather's not the best. The weather's not the best. Hopefully it just might improve a little bit. Now, how long ago was Metallica formed?
1981, Los Angeles. I came over from Denmark in 1980 and wanted to get a band together in Los Angeles, and in 1981 it happened.
And you guys all kind of found each other?
Yeah, I found James Hetfield, and we were the sort of basis of the band. We've had a few members come and go in the years since then, but 1981 was me and James met up.
Now, you guys have done 4 albums.
Yes, 4.5.
4.5.
There was a half one in there a few years ago, but 4.5, yeah.
And the song that's your latest release at the moment, One,
yes,
is the first video you've ever done, which is unusual because bands seem to rely very heavily on video clips.
Well, we just tried to, you know, in America they have some very, you know, set ways about how everything goes on in the business, and we didn't want to be in a situation where we were sort of forced into doing a video just because everyone else was doing them and so forth. So we just kind of held off till the right idea came along, and finally the idea came along for this song One a few months ago, and we wanted to try and see if we could pull the video off for it, and we tried to, and we kind of did.
Now, what was the idea for the video? Because we're going to show a little bit of it.
Well, the idea for the song was basically to what would it be like to be in a situation where we were totally isolated away from everything, no arms, no legs, couldn't hear, speak, or see or anything like that, and then we set that idea against a World War I background where a soldier comes back from battle, obviously, in that kind of unpleasant situation. And there was a movie made called Johnny Got His Gun, which is a similar setup, and we basically got clips from that movie, interspersed it with us playing the song and so forth, and basically tell the story of this guy who was in this fairly unpleasant situation.
Okay, so now let's go and have a look at the video One.
I can't remember anything, can't tell if this is true or dream. Deep down inside I feel the stream. This terrible silence stops me. Now that the war is through with me, I'm waking up, I cannot see that there's not much left to me. Nothing is real but pain now. Hold my breath as I wait for death. Oh, please, God, wake me.
Now, you guys are currently on tour at the moment.
Yes.
You've been on tour for a while.
For, seems like years now. We've actually been on tour since May 27th of last year. I'll remember that date for some time, and we still got about another 6 or 7 months to go if we're still standing that long.
It's pretty exhausting, isn't it?
Well, a lot of the traveling is, I mean, it's fun coming to new places like obviously Australia, New Zealand. We're going up to Japan next week and so forth, so that kind of breaks up the sort of monotony of in America where it's the same kind of situation every day. But, you know, we make the most of it and we make it happen.
Just quickly, what everybody always wants to know, what do you guys do to relax?
Relax, that's not a word I'm all that familiar with, actually. When you're on the road, Metallica, at least for me, is basically a 24-hour-day thing. You know, I think James, who's the rhythm guitar and lead singer, he is much better at sort of just cutting off. I'm sort of always, you know, reaching for a phone or doing something. But, you know, when we have some time off, we just hang out together, have the occasional beverage, you know, things like that.
I hope you get some time to relax.
Yes, we
and
have
I'm sure
had a few days.
Everybody's going to look forward to your concert here tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now it's time to go and check out what is on RTR Megamix, which is Cliff Richard's special. So I'll see you after that.
And just this one extreme thing that people always sort of seem to brand us with. You know, up in the States and Europe over the last couple of years, I think people, I find, starting to realize that Metallica does have a lot more to offer than just this one specific thing that we always end up being called and so forth. And, you know, now we're down here in sort of, when I say unexplored territories, it's obviously virgin territories for Metallica. So I can sense in Australia, you know, and so forth, where I just came from doing a lot of press, that, you know, people still think we're maybe just slightly more remote out to the less extreme than we really are. But that's why it's great that we come down here and get a chance to play, and people get a chance to see all the different sides of Metallica.
You're one of the few heavy metal bands where sexism doesn't feature a lot, and you don't appear to live the excessive heavy metal cliche type lifestyle, but you still get tarred with the same brush. Is that what it
Well,
is?
I mean, there are a lot of people that just generalize a lot in heavy metal, and a lot of people that are just very ignorant to the fact that within the heavy metal, world or configuration, there are actually a lot of different bands that do different things. We've always been extremely bored with a lot of the metal cliches, being it sexism or partying or the, Satanism or any of all these stupid things, and we've just preferred to avoid them both in our lyrics and the way that we come across and so forth. It doesn't mean that we, haven't lived that kind of silly lifestyle for a few years and so forth, which we did, but, it's possible to enjoy some of these things without actually having to sing about it. You know what I mean? So we've just been more interested in just writing about different things and having a kind of different approach that and avoid a lot of the metal cliches over the last couple of years. And it's just, I think when you're writing songs and trying to get things together, it's just a bit more of a like a challenge to try and just come up with things that are not always the obvious.
Has the fact that soft metalers like Def Leppard and Bon Jovi have brought music into the mainstream helped or hindered metal, in your opinion?
Help or hindered? I don't think it's hindered anything. I'm not sure if helped is the right word. So we might have to sort of say somewhere in between, maybe leaning slightly more towards help. I think, in America, I don't know, in America, it's, obviously bands like Def Leppard and Bon Jovi and so forth are doing very well, selling a lot of records and bringing, I think, quote unquote, metal to up in, to the public, people's minds and so forth, and people realize that there's a lot of things going on that maybe they hadn't heard about a couple years before. And from that point of view, where Metallica sort of comes along with that, and then there's Metallica who do things slightly different than these other bands, and so forth. We've always been doing our own thing, and I think really, that's why I say I don't really want to say help either, because, before Bon Jovi were around and stuff like that, we were still, doing very well on that level that we were at. So I think that our situation is one that's maybe, without sounding arrogant here, slightly more timeless, where, we just sort of do our own thing, sort of cruise in our own water, just do things one step at a time, our own way, where some of these other bands have to rely more on some of the things that are going on with what the current taste of mind is by the public and so forth like that.
How much of a connection do new metal bands like Metallica have to punk?
What we were very influenced by, which is called the new wave of British heavy metal, was sort of hard rock and metal's direct answer to that movement a few years ago, where metal sort of was brought back down to, from the 70s, you had all the dinosaur bands and everything was sort of very grand and rock stars and all that. And then in 1979-80, the new wave of British metal came about, and sort of everything was brought back down to the streets again, and bands were doing their own thing, and a little more aggressive and maybe a little faster and just a little more sort of ballsy and gutsy. And I think that's where most of our influences lie, more in that.
You seem to do about 99% of the band's interviews. Why is that?
Well, they say that I have the biggest mouth, which on questioning you can see is true.
Heavy metal